A lot of agents don't understand that they are running a business. They're the CEO. And so like when you go to Publix or when you shop on Amazon, do you think there's one person running that show? Like, absolutely not. So why is there just one person running your show? If you're looking to build your business, like we need to build it like a business.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Special show today. As many of the regular listeners, I know I dig deep into the top producing real estate agents and what happens when they hit that production lid. It's very important. These agents come to a point where they're just overwhelmed. Some start their career with help and with advice from a mentor. Some squander and wonder what to do, and others seek help. And today we're seeking help for you today. Well, today I have one of those people who offers that help to pull these overwhelmed real estate agents out of the weeds and hopefully greater production. She was a teacher before entering the real estate industry. Her last 8 years in real estate, she has worked with some of the most respected high-producing teams in Jacksonville, Florida, before going out on her own to provide a much-needed service to real estate agents. Let's welcome the owner of OpSuite LLC, Samantha Cox, to the show.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I am really excited about the show and obviously our little pregame discussion here of what's going on, because I have so many, I've had so many of the top agents on. And as I mentioned in the intro, some, I think, we were talking about Carrie Carpenter. I think she started off with some help initially. She ran it like a business. That was her attitude. And obviously she's, in just a few years is doing great numbers.
Yeah.
You've worked for the Rocco team.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Rocco, one of the most highly respected agents in our, unfortunately no longer with us, but her team continues to run. Mm-hmm. Everyone, the way she ran her, not everyone could run a team like that. And the fact that you worked for her for so many years, I mean, I think for anyone who knows Sarah, and the fact that you did what you did for her was, is a, trophy on the wall, basically. Love Sarah, high respect for her, unfortunately losing her, but I mean, her, like I said, her team is still moving today at a high level, still at a high level. Mm-hmm. And really, I mean, Sarah wasn't in the business 20 years before she discovered this. Mm-hmm. She had, and so that respect there, just as accolades for you and what we're going to dig into today, because I think it's so vital. And any agent listening right now, you need to take notes. If you do anything after this show, is to give Samantha a call and ask her what she can do for you. You may or not like it. You may not see the value in it. I'm going to tell you, you need to be doing something as an agent. If you're reaching that point where, I think you're going to have, I know you have stories. I know you have stories because you've dealt with so many of them. Absolutely. Reaching these levels where they're just overwhelmed and they reach out crying for help. Kick off a little bit, just give everyone a little bit of background. Sure. I assume education was your initial career vision.
It was.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be a teacher when I grow up, and went to college. Halfway through college, decided I got bored in education school. Went to culinary school for a little bit there. Went back, got my degree in education, elementary education, and then taught until 2016, 8 years. And I loved being a teacher. I love kids, still do. It just, for me, I'm always looking for what's next. Like, what's next? And I like to continue growing. And I found that it wasn't the right fit for me anymore. So while I was looking for my next career, I took a position as an inside sales agent for a real estate team. I was just like, I'll figure out what my next passion is. Turned out I was like, whoa, real estate's kind of cool. I was an inside sales agent for a team. I did that and immediately doubled my salary from being a teacher my first year. And I was like, what in the heck am I doing? Like, this is it.
Your LinkedIn is awesome. I think everyone needs to go on Samantha's LinkedIn because it's done well. And especially for what you do, everyone's looking at, I want to hand off my business, for her to handle a part of my business to her. Does she know what she's talking about? And you really do a good job in there detailing the many things you did within, a couple of the, Sarah's team. And I think there was another team in there. And then Atlantic Partners themselves, Keller Williams Atlantic Partners themselves, on a director's level of operations and the details and things that you were doing. Elaborate on, I think the average person, even agent, doesn't realize, especially if you're running, I think you said the Rocco team did was it last year 95 million?
It was 95 million, left the team. So that's where we grew the team to. And then I took a position with the director, or with Keller Williams Atlantic Partners, as the director of operations. And from Fernandina all the way to Daytona, the offices and market centers in between, 4 different market centers, but 10 locations. I worked alongside Margaret Sherrill and as the operating principal. And so the two of us were really, partnered to help our agents, right under 1,000 agents, grow their businesses. What is the training? What is the coaching? What is, what's the value that Keller Williams is bringing to these agents? That's really what we focused on.
I don't think people, when you're running a high level machine like that, and to me, Keller Williams Atlantic Partners, they've got a lot of top producers. A lot of the people that I've had on the show come, and I'm always looking for agents and their top producers. And I'm like, another one from Keller Williams Atlantic Partners. I got to mix it a little bit. I got to find some others out there. But being, Keller Williams takes on a lot of new agents too.
They do.
And so you've got to be, as an operations team, like you said, planning the trainings, getting all these things over. You're organizing things weeks and weeks in advance. You have to stay out in front of everything that's going on, because, how many agents are we talking about?
We were right under 1,000 agents that we were working with. We really focus and that, I think that's what Keller Williams does well. And not just a plug for them, but honestly is, you need to build your business to be a business and run like a business. So a lot of agents don't understand that they are running a business. They're the CEO. And so when you go to Publix or when you shop on Amazon, do you think there's one person running that show? Absolutely not. So why is there just one person running your show? If you're looking to build your business, we need to build it like a business. And that's,
I think one of the messages I want to get across, just tagging on what you're saying there, you can do more with less effort. You're going to put more in your pocket. You're going to have a little bit of expenditure there, but I think if anyone would say, what do you like about real estate? Oh, they're going to mention working with their clients. Well, would you want to be more forward facing and be spending more time? Because that's what a lot of the top agents tell me that, I think Melissa Ricks is a perfect example of someone who has that support team so that she can spend more time doing what she loves doing and gives her high energy, which is obviously spending time with her clients. But she also likes going and, she goes over to other brokerages and stuff and helps, does some training and stuff. That's what she loves doing. And it gives her that boost every day.
Or she, I see on social media, she's going to her kids' football games.
Yeah.
So she's able to not even just grow their business, or her business, but also, she's spending time doing the things she loves with her family and friends.
And opened a new business, the gym that she opened up this past year, with her family. There's so many things. I think as a real estate agent, I've had several on that have branched out and are doing other little things. It may be in the real estate thing, like flipping houses. Now you have time to possibly look for that. Or, some are actually Melissa's gone out and opened a gym because she's got 5 boys and, that's their thing.
Right.
Because she's leveraging, utilizing people who want to do it. Because that's one of the questions I want to lead you. How did you've obviously created a passion for this, because I don't think you could have gone so quickly from being a teacher to doing the things that you were doing so quickly unless you were like, wow, I love this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I geek out on the operations side of things. I had no clue I was going to, and I did. And so when I saw Sarah around the office, I was like, I want to work with that woman, because she was just running around all the time. I just loved it. So when I came on the team and I saw there's just so much to this business. There's the financial piece of it. There's our lead sources and really analyzing those lead sources. And then there's our team members and hiring and training and recruiting and helping them build big lives. And it was just oh my gosh, it's just so multifaceted that I was I could work 24/7 for the rest of my life, and I would never be finished because there's always so much growth going on. And I think that's what really excites me about operations, is because it's really business building all the time. It never stops unless you want it to, you know?
I think something came natural to you. Maybe you have a natural organizational, skill. I know some people are project managers without even going to getting that specific training, getting that degree in project management. Some people just get it. Was that it for you? And then, but there's, we got a list of things to talk about, like, like bookkeeping's on there.
Yeah.
I mean, did they send you, or did you search out additional training for that to get an edge on that?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to discover what operations is all about and how I became so passionate. And actually, Sarah was the one who pushed me to do this. I told her, I was like, I want to be the director of operations of your team. She was like, what's the director of ops do? And I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted the title.
Good question.
She said, here's what you need to do. You need to meet with the director of operations once a week for however long it takes until you figure out what a director of ops does. And so every single Friday for 30 minutes, I had a call with the new director of operations from around the country. And I had a list of the same exact questions. And I asked them, what's your
so how did you get these people to call? Just other successful teams?
I started with other successful teams. And then after my conversation with them, I would say, who do you know that, would probably be willing to talk to me next week? And then they tell me, have you talked to so-and-so? And I'm like, oh, no. So I would set up a call. And so I had that list of questions on, what do you do? What is the main thing that you need to focus on every week to move the business forward? How do you help your rainmaker succeed? What do you do outside of work even? How many hours are you working? What's your salary look like? And all of these questions. And then I would figure out, like, okay, this is a good director of operations and this person needs to step it up. And I really understood the value of a director of ops for a real estate team. And that's where I'd be like, okay, so-and-so is doing this. I'm going to bring it back to our business and let's implement XYZ because they're doing it successfully. I think that's honestly where,
You did this for how long?
Probably like a year.
Wow.
I mean, like a really long time. So I developed a ton of relationships, number one.
She just did a podcast with them.
I should have, honestly.
Yeah.
People would listen because the information is literally invaluable. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. That says a lot about you. That says a lot about, the grit, that's grit right there and then stay with it. Cause a lot of people may have made the first couple of phone calls, but I'm sure you heard a lot of overlap there, and that operations person is doing the same thing as that one. So you would be like, I already know it. Instead of asking the next one, which then that next one all of a sudden opens a whole new Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Of another avenue you need to go down and research and learn.
Well, then I started looking at their production levels. Like at first I just was kind of talking to people, and then I realized, like, wait, I need to be talking to someone who's doing 10 times what we're doing. So that way what I'm putting into place now is going to fuel our success when we are 10 times, our current production. I was like specifically seeking out the people that I knew were going to give me the information I needed for the future.
All right. I know Sarah had a library. She lent me a book out of that library, Rocket Fuel.
Oh my God, our favorite book.
Right, that is it. Yeah, I need that. I need the implementer. I'm definitely the visionary guy. How did that help? Because that thought that you just had, like, I need to talk to someone who's doing 10 times what we're doing, and set the structure up to work in that direction. That had to come from something. Was it just being around Sarah and rereading some of those books, and that's just that thought came?
Yeah. So we read Rocket Fuel together as like a book club, and I told her we had to. It's very uncomfortable for anyone who, if they've never read it and you're reading it like with your boss or a partner or whatever that looks like it says, as a visionary, like, you can be very rude to your integrator. You need to cool it. Or like, as an integrator, like, stop taking things so personally. And like, when we read these things, it was like, oh my gosh, these are the struggles in our relationship. And it helped us open up to have these discussions. But it also helped us, like, okay, yeah, we do need to talk to people 10 times us. We do. And I don't know, I think Sarah just always had this like thing in her brain of who's the best person in the room. and how do I become that person? And then moving to the different room and who's the best person in this room and how do I become that person?
I always thought when I
Yeah.
looked, when we talked, especially after I had her on the show and we ran into each other at different places,
Yeah.
when you look her in the eyes, she's on another level. I always thought she was on another level. That's how I described it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that's just where
Yeah.
it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, she invested in me. I will say that she invested in me as her, integrator. That I had a business coach, a mastery business coach, which is not cheap. It was $1,500 a month she was paying for me to have my own business coach. And I think like that alone fueled me into my thinking. It wasn't just business, it was also personal. And so like my personal life is growing. My personal life was like my personal financials was growing. And that grows her business, tenfold truly. And I think that's where those mindset shifts kind of came from as well.
Sure. 100%. So when do you start seeing this opportunity, things, I think I was actually might have been talking to her when you made the jump to become Atlantic Partners Director of Operations. Because I remember her talking about interviewing for that position, and I didn't know you obviously at the time.
Yeah.
So Atlantic Partners obviously sees what you're doing, and they're like, we need to, go ahead and put her over the whole thing. When do you start seeing the opportunity for OpSuite?
Oh man, right away, to be honest, because I started talking to a lot more agents in our area that are doing business at a high level. And the first question every single time, how do I get a you? How do I find a you? And I'm like, oh, stop, just being silly. But then I really started sitting on it like, no, but like, how do they find somebody that they can trust and somebody that can have ownership mindset in their business and somebody that understands that this is a career, not just like a 9-to-5 job. And so then I'm like, I don't know. I really have talked to a lot of operations people and I'm like, this is like a gap. It really is. Like there's definitely transaction coordinators out there. There's definitely coaches, but like an all-in-one suite that has your bookkeeping for you, that has can help hire and train people for you, that has consulting on you're at this level and you want to go to the next level, what needs to happen, that has the transaction management, the listing management. Like there's not something that I knew of that could do all of this. And so honestly, my sister came on vacation. She was watching me work and she was in the lending industry at the time. And she was like, why are you doing this? And how do you know that? And she was talking the language. And I was like, like you can do this with me. And she was like, sure. So she moved from Cincinnati, where I'm originally from, and joined me literally a month later. I had a 26-page business plan written up. And I was like, all right, we're doing it. That's where it came from.
So what does she do for you?
So she's a transaction manager on our team, and honestly, she's my right hand. So yeah, she's incredible. So
you're in lockstep. That's very tough to do with family.
We had a very deep conversation prior to all of this, was that like business is business, personal is personal. There's no overlap and we compartmentalize it.
Right.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
It is.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to say, you know what, this is too far. We have to compartmentalize. We have to take a step back. You know what I mean? And revisit it at a later time.
Well, I think there's more competitiveness internally with family sometimes, and kids, and I think it drives families apart to a point for egos or jealousy because one of them just so happened to take a different path and is successful. But obviously, she must have saw something in you, and again, she must saw that she's excelling in it.
She's literally better than me at what she does. And like that's my goal. Anytime I hire somebody, is like they better be better than me, because that's what's going to propel me forward. And so when I saw that and I saw the questions she was asking, I was like, oh my gosh, like we're the person. She's also 10 years younger than me.
Okay.
We have the same mom and dad. Just they waited a while. And so like our relationship is a little different than just, a couple years apart.
I'm just going to adjust the camera.
Sure.
And that water is there for you if you need to wet your lips there. All right.
Thank you.
Just a little bit more. I think we've been fine, but I always.
I'm probably.
This is going to be full of great reels here to cut from the. All right. So let's break down OpSuite.
Okay.
because you offer a lot more. Joy introduced basically as a transaction coordinator, which there's some other groups that just do that, but you seem to offer a more robust package. You're not just a transaction coordinator that just went off and said, okay, I can be a transaction coordinator and let me just pay. I call it pay for play. You're really offering a director of operations from a Keller Williams Atlantic Partners to individual agents.
Yeah.
Really. So we're going to break this down, and I'm glad you gave me this little cheat sheet here to break down your different services. You have coaching and consulting. We talked a little bit about pre-show, and I was like, obviously, there's guys out there like Tom Ferry. Well, I'm sure Angie Bell. They're out there coaching. Are you going in depth as they may be, or you're tell us a little about what services you're offering or helping them in that coaching, that one-on-one? Because I would imagine coaching is a little bit to open them up to your other services a lot, to explain to them, hey, I've been seeing what you're doing. I'm coaching you. You need my transaction coordinator. You need my bookkeeping, type of thing. I can do that for you. I can take that off your plate. Because I imagine I imagine a lot of agents like, well, coaches, I can spend all that money on a coach, but they're just going to tell me what I already know. Well, yes, they are actually.
See, like for me, and as like having a business coach myself, is like it's accountability. Like when I have a business coach, I'm paying for the accountability less than I'm paying for them to give me the tips and tricks, honestly, because I'm the one who's in charge of building the business, and they can help guide me to different resources, but I'm the one who's got to be doing it. And if I'm not, then we're not growing. So for me, like when we offer coaching, it's definitely coaching towards a goal, right? Or many goals, and it's personal, professional, whatever those goals are. However, it's a lot of accountability too. It's like, what are you doing, and did you do it? And if you didn't, then you actually don't earn the right to talk about the rest of the stuff you want to talk about. Like, because you need to do what you said you're going to do. My favorite piece of the coaching and consulting, and where I like a lot of agents to start, is with an audit of their business. So we offer a systems audit. And what we do is we go through literally 10 facets of their business. This is lead generation, financials, accountability. I mean, it goes through the organizational chart, their CRM, their marketing. Like, it goes through every facet of their business, and I have a series of questions for them. So for example, in the financial piece, it'll be like, do you have a CPA? Do you pay your taxes quarterly? Do you keep all of your receipts and document any of your entertainment receipts and tell who you were with, what you were doing? Because if you don't get an audit, you're going to need that. Do you, all of these things? And they say yes or no. After we do this, it takes about 2 hours. After we do our systems audit, what I do on the back end on my own is I go through it and really dissect the gaps. And I'm like, and they tell me gaps through it too. So I'm of course taking notes. And then I give them basically a report that says, okay, in your financial management system, you told me X. Here's the next step. Like, you need to start tracking your receipts. Here's where you can track them. Here's how you do it. And you need to hire a CPA. Here's how you do it. And this is just the financial piece, but like, any type of that's just really what it looks like.
Your experience at Keller Williams, relate this to some of the things, because again, I think we go back, most people don't understand what a director of operations at an organization like Keller Williams Atlantic Partners is doing.
Sure.
How are you taking that experience when someone says, well, what's your experience to coach me? What's a way that you explain them? What are some of the things that you were doing and were seeing at Keller Williams Atlantic Partners that obviously gives you the power and knowledge to analyze their business?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I go back to the Rocco group a lot because that's where it started, and, Keller Williams Atlantic Partners. But like with the Rocco group, there's a ceiling at, every production level. So we went from 14 million to 30 million. And when you get to 30 million, all of a sudden you're at a ceiling and you're like, okay, I need new systems. I need new processes. What does that look like? And you reinvent the wheel. And then you go from 30 million to 50 million. And you're like, oh my gosh, everything's broken again. I need to fix it again. What does that look like? And so like throughout that process of growing from literally the 7 million to 14 million, when I left, we were at 95 million. So like we had a ton of breakdowns. We had a ton of growth. And so like that's where I've gained a lot of my knowledge and networking with all of the top teams, you know what I mean, and Keller Williams. We were in Gary Keller's top 100 mastermind group. And so we had the opportunity to meet face to face with those people and Gary Keller to really talk through like what the top teams should be doing. At Atlantic Partners, I think that I had the opportunity to really see hundreds of businesses, you know, hundreds of agents, almost 1,000 agents, and how they were running their business, what was successful and what wasn't.
Well, a good probably 30 to maybe 50 at producing at a high level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those agents are always looking for support from their brokerage. And so that's where we would work with them on, okay, where are you at? What is your next goal and how do we get you there? I think like the diversity between all of the different businesses is what really helps me analyze, you know, my current clients' businesses.
Right. Yeah, I think you have to bring the realization if you walk into that office over there, especially on Southside Boulevard, let alone the other offices, the level of agents that are there. You know, not, you know, Sarah had a big team, but you get someone like, say, Kelly Bello, you know, and their needs. And obviously as a great brokerage, another topic I always bring up is what value is that brokerage bringing to you? And it's having people like yourself going in and helping these individual agents get their business straight. Right. You want to call it that? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember one of like Kim's sessions in the Atlantic Beach office was like, hey, I'm hiring an admin. Would you mind just to interview her, talk to her, see your thoughts? Because, you know, I've had tons of experience hiring and training operations team members. So I did, and she was an awesome fit. And she's still with her today. So I think so.
Well,
sure.
That's one of your other services is recruiting and training. And again, one of the things I want to do with the podcast is bring on more boutique, you know, brokers on in what they're doing in their businesses, but they don't have the financial resources as an Atlantic Partners. They don't have 1,000 agents.
Right.
Maybe they have 10, if that. Some of them are just working with 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And they don't have the, you know, if they need to bring on somebody, it could be recruiting agents and, you know, training agents. I mean, we know some of the more successful teams, some of them, you know, obviously at the Atlantic Partners, you got to bring on the right person. So having someone that actually, you know, has done this for high level teams to kind of be your front person, then turn over and say, hey, I interviewed 10. I would say talk to these 2 or 3. I think they might be good fits. And then they can just talk to the 2 or 3 and save themselves a lot of time and energy.
So much time. So the biggest gap that I see right now or downfall for agents and teams is they're hiring out of desperation because they need somebody now. And whether that's an agent who's producing or even an operations team member behind the scenes, like they're feeling the pressure and they need somebody and they hire out of desperation, and that person takes time, energy, and money.
There's so many companies that are like that. So many.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's
to recruit at a high level, like you need to meet this person more than once and say, okay, you're hired. We meet at least 3 times in person when they go through our recruiting process, and everything's recorded. So the business owner on the back end, they get to watch, you know, and follow along with their candidates. They can say, not really feeling it, or yes, this person is definitely like, please fast track them. But I don't skip any steps. I mean, we have a 10-step process through our interview process, because to find the right candidate, it not only needs to be the right fit for us at the time, it needs to be the right fit for us for the future, and it needs to be the right fit for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I don't know if I have Billy Wagner's book.
Love him.
Yeah. If you have read his book, I had him on. You have it. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
As he talks about this type of thing, like having top people in a pipeline.
Yes.
And some people he doesn't hire right away. Some people he might actually, it might be a few months later, all of a sudden there's another position, but they're very picky who they bring on.
Yes.
Because you could spend so much time month after month and your company's not moving forward because someone's starting at 0 every day.
Yes.
And you never get off the runway.
Exactly. Building a bench when you're recruiting is crucial. And so what I loved, like when I started OpSuite, is like I now do have a bench of highly talented professionals waiting for the right opportunity. And they're kind of waiting on me to be like, oh, I have an opportunity that's come up, or I've heard of someone who's hiring. And, these are the people, especially in our, world right now, you have to have top talent on your team. And these are the people they're waiting for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's such a crucial piece, many times overlooked. And until you've done the cycle, of hiring and people going, or then you get to that point where sometimes you want to fire them, but you can't because you've gotten emotionally attached or whatever. It's difficult to do. It's so important to spend that little extra time up front to get it right. Bookkeeping.
Not sexy.
Not saying, yeah.
It's not.
You should write that here in your notes.
I
not
should.
sexy.
I get that. I mean, it's true, and it's so crucial. A lot of agents, when they're starting to consider bookkeeping, they'll ask me like, "Why do I need this?" And I'm like, "Well, what was the profit you made last month?" And they're like, "What do you mean profit? Like, I brought in $12,000 in commission." I'm like, "Okay, how much were your expenses? What was your cost of sale?" And they're like, "Wait, what is cost of sale?" And I'm like, "Okay, so bookkeeping is what really takes your business to a business, right? Because like if you asked any business like that's functioning as a business what their profit is, they know what their bottom line profit is. And agents should too if you're running a business at a high level. Now, if you're just starting, probably investing in bookkeeping on a monthly basis is not necessarily needed. But once you really start bringing in consistent commission checks and, you're needing to pay quarterly taxes, and like you need to have bookkeeping because that's what's telling you what lead sources should I invest in.
As an individual agent, what level of production you think are we talking about here? 5 million, 10 million?
I would say between to get started, that 5 to 7 million is a really sweet spot. And then anything above that, you should definitely have a bookkeeper, whether that be us or somebody else. Like somebody needs to be watching your money for you. Somebody needs to be asking you, why are you, investing in this? That's the other thing with us. It's like, I have that experience using a lot of different systems. And if I see hey, I see you're investing in this once a month and I actually know something that's better, I'm going to suggest that to you. That's nice as well.
Because we see, the agents I talk to, you physically see it because you see these numbers of these agents and have for years in the individuals that you're working with. When they start to get to that 5 to 7 million, they start to get overwhelmed with just all the tasks that they have to do in marketing and acquiring the client and all the things that a real estate agent does. They're already starting to slow down because they ramped up 0 to 5. If they start off, they're okay. All of a sudden you start 5 to 7, they're starting to plateau because they're being they can't take on a new client. They cut back on the marketing of taking on a new client because they're still working with a client they've already got in the nest. And by the time if they slowly creep up, they start reaching 9 million. Now you are maxed.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, like I said in the intro, this is where agents need to realize when you start crossing that 5 million, having maybe one of we haven't finished with all your services, and we're finished with transaction coordinator and so forth, but acquiring some of these services to start easing it off. So you continue to ramp up and you go right through 9, 10 million, 12 million and on, but you don't reach that, which I think a lot of agents do. They get to that 5 to 7 million. All of a sudden they plateau out. Yeah. They procrastinate and don't know what to do next.
Well, there's two different things that they should be focusing on in their business every single day. And that's 1, client acquisition, and 2, client servicing. And when you get too busy servicing your clients, the client acquisition goes out the window. And then all of a sudden you're stuck in this whirlwind of client servicing that you're like, wait, I don't have any deals on the books for July. I don't have any deals on the books for August. And then you start going on this roller coaster effect, and that's not what we want. But a lot of agents feel that. So it's really crucial for agents to structure their calendar. I'm huge in time blocking. and they need to structure their calendar, client acquisition is in the morning. That's your lead gen time. Client servicing is in the afternoon. That is it. So if for some reason that client servicing starts taking up your morning time, like your client acquisition time, that's a telltale sign it's time to hire leverage. It's like you're the moneymaker in your business.
Yep. You are the brand. Even working for a big company like Keller Williams, all those agents are still their individual brand. Keller Williams ain't selling houses for them. No.
Right.
Yeah. It's gone that different way. We've talked about it many times on the show. Back in the day when I grew up, the Century 21 gold coat or Remax with their balloon, everyone knew what those are. They don't know what those are anymore. It's the individual agent that is out there every day with whatever brokerage is their brand. Attracting and retaining clients. So we talked a little bit about pre-show. This, I think, is a huge piece of your services right here. What is you mentioned getting more reviews and that sort of thing. What are some of the things that you're doing as this will roll us into your transaction coordination? Because, you're interacting with the clients. What are things that you and your teams are doing?
Well, what we see and what I saw from, the bird's eye level of what's 1,000 agents is that they have their transactions, they're closing, and then they move on to their next transaction. And the question is, what are you doing to develop and nurture the relationship of that person who just closed? Because they already like you, they already trust you, and they know at least 3 to 5 people.
And they just bought a house, so people are talking about real estate with them.
They already know 3 to 5 people who probably want to buy, sell, or invest. And our goal in this facet of our business is to help you nurture those relationships and to bring in reviews and referrals. So this is the referral piece of it. If you're reaching out to your database, if you're doing mailers, if you're doing pop buys, if you're hosting events, they don't have to be huge events, even just VIP, like very exclusive events to your top advocates. Like these things keep you top of mind with your current database, and you don't have to pay for leads because they're coming in. Like this is where your marketing dollars need to go in order to bring in more leads. This is like my favorite thing to do aside from our systems audit. I love to look at someone's business and say, you have 300 past clients. That is incredible. How many of them have given you referrals? First of all, are you tracking it? Probably not. And if you're not, let's put a system in to track it. And then number 2, what are we doing to make sure that you're top of mind? So when they're at work and they hear a coworker, getting coffee say, I'm going to buy a house this year, they go,
do you have a realtor?
do you with Carrie Carpenter?
Yeah, you're right.
Whoever it is.
Yeah.
We have to stay top of mind and doing events and mailers and emails and quarterly phone calls. This is the way. So that's really what we help you implement. And then we help you actually execute it as well. On the, I said reviews as well. Like when you work with our transaction coordinating team, we aren't just coordinating and pushing paper and we're communicating with your customers at a high level. And so you're always involved, all the agents always involved no matter what, but we're developing those relationships too, because we're an extension of you and your team. And so when we close, we're the ones who are saying, can you please leave a review on how it was working with Carrie? And they do.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents, they get kind of funky because they're like, I don't want to ask them. They're busy, they're unpacking boxes. Let us do that for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, with Carrie, you bring up because the Carrie Carpenter's is brilliant. I mean, some of the things she was telling me she does and asking for the referrals and so forth. You've earned that. Some people understand that. Some people are a little more, there's this imposter syndrome. They don't feel they're successful enough to ask for that. And I'm on that same level. I think a lot of people are in that level. So when you have that, that third party person who's obviously your goal, hey, if I can get this agent more referrals, I got more business. Exactly. And we keep rolling in our relationship type of thing. And to speak of referrals, and I forgot to, usually I do this earlier, but this is actually a great time. Okay. Remy Graphics. I don't know if you know Dunya Taylor. No. With Remy, you need Remy Graphics, Remy Realty up there, but she acquired this company, obviously renamed it Remy. She does these laser engravings. There's one in your bag there, your gift bag there for you there. She does a lot of other laser engraving type stuff, but she'll do one-offs. So you got, looking for closing gifts. I think to put, hey, John and Sally, 123 Main Street, your name on the realtor on the back. She'll do one or two. She doesn't need you to order 24 of them.
Okay, good.
So it's perfect closing gifts. And I think these are beautiful. Everyone's carrying around these type things, but I think obviously you put their name on it personally.
Yeah.
They'll never throw it away.
No, they won't.
And they'll never forget you because you're the one who did it for them. Remy Graphics, I'm going to put her, I got her little, there, get that out of the way. RemyGraphics.com. Check out their website and their gifts there. And I appreciate them and our co-sponsorship here of that. So, which is tagging in exactly what we're talking about. The importance of doing that. And if you, in all the services that you have, if you're an agent, and you need these services, and they're out there trying to get you a referral, and they get you, and sometimes you can't measure it, but it's because your team is being persistent and doing an area where they may not be fully executing it 100%, but now you are as OpSuite executing that area of asking for referrals and so forth, and you get 1 or 2 more deals in the course of the year. I mean, what a game changer that is.
Huge.
I think it's priceless and a huge value to add, because I think, I haven't hired a lot of pay-by-play transaction coordinators or anything like that, but I would imagine that's not an attitude that a lot of them have. You working at a high level with high-level teams that you have in your experience, realize this is a vital piece, or you don't eat. This is very important. Because I guarantee if your team wasn't doing that, and I guarantee you, whoever said it, imagine Sarah said, hey, when you guys are on, you're asking for referrals. You're asking for referrals. You're asking for that review. This is what you're doing. If you aren't doing it, you don't work here. Exactly. And that's your attitude at OpSuite.
It is. Yeah. And like the thing is too, when we close and your buyers now, they've got a new address. They have a home anniversary date. We now know their birthdays because they give them the title. Like these are things that need to go into your database, and it doesn't matter what your database is. If it's a spreadsheet, the best one is the one that you use. And so like what we're going to do is take all of that information and we're going to plug it in for you. If you have a database that has tags and you have smart plans, drip campaigns, we'll start those for you, because we know that like this is how you stay top of mind. And again, like you said, this is how you bring more business to us, because you're going to be bringing in more business. So it's not just like, hey, thanks for the contract, congrats, now it's closed and move on. Like, it's like, okay, let's nurture this person so well that like they want to come back for more.
Yeah, 100%. Huge vital piece in what you do. And again, it just expresses your ideology of what your role is in this entire process, that you have these people, again, asking for the referrals, asking for the reviews. Like I said, even if they have a spreadsheet, how many times has someone's birthday passed, for example, which is an opportunity just to call and say hi. Maybe you leave a voicemail. Hey, just wanted to say happy birthday. Have a super day. Another opportunity to put your name into their brain so they don't forget you. And you've got a team like you behind it, which I imagine that's one of those things you might, hey, you've got so-and-so's birthdays coming up this week. You need to, make that 10-second call.
So we have one customer. He's one of our clients, Luke Christmas. He runs an incredible business. And we do all of his birthday cards, his home anniversary cards for him. He has a ton of referral partners across the country. So we send birthday cards to his referral partners. We send like quarterly tchotchkes or like mailers to his referral
That's what I call them, tchotchkes.
Just like little fun things in the mail. His last name's Christmas. So we send little ornaments that are,
right.
It's always Christmas in Northeast Florida and key things like that. But like, those are things that you can leverage, to stay top of mind. I love saying this. Sarah used to say this all the time. Your reticular activating system is so important to your RAS. And she, like her team, when they watch this, she's going to crack up, or they're going to crack up. And she talks about it all the time. It's like when you go to buy a car and you test drive a car, and then all of a sudden you're like at Publix and the car's parked next to you. And then all of a sudden you're at the doctor's office and like, there it is. And it's next to you on the highway.
Sitting at a traffic light and they're going across in front of you.
Like, certainly like this car is not just mass produced all of a sudden and it's all next to me. It's your reticular activating system. And so it's the same like in real estate. Like we need to have your name, Luke Christmas, Luke Christmas, Luke Christmas. So that way when somebody does say, buy, sell, or invest, they go, Luke Christmas. Like it's science.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Luke goes to these. They're not all past customers. These are, referral partners from around the country, people he's met at probably Keller Williams conferences or wherever it is. what are some of the things that you're doing for some of the agents for just their sphere of influences?
Oh my gosh. So like,
They're different organizations they belong to,
yeah, absolutely. So like for him, he has them all in a database, and he doesn't discriminate on who's from where, like they get it. So like for St. Patty's Day, like happy St. Patty's Day, wish you a lot of luck, and with a lotto ticket, $1 scratch off. That caused him to send to his entire database of quite a few people, and we had a huge stack of mailers, less than $1,000, right? But that stays top of mind. And then guess what they do when they scratch off? They go onto social media and take a photo and say, didn't win at Luke Christmas Real Estate. And then who sees that? I mean, it's literally priceless.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yes.
And it's not that expensive.
Well, some people, that's the thing. I think some people would say that's expensive. But if you think about it, if someone said, hey, give me $1,000, I'll give you a closing. How many $1,000 bills would you find?
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 I will say, like, and that's the importance of hiring and doing it consistently. Like, if you're going to hire someone, that's awesome. If you're going to do it yourself, that's awesome. But the whole purpose is to stay consistent, because if you're not doing it consistently, then you're not going to activate the reticular activating system, and it's just not important at that point. Consistency is absolutely key.
All right. The important piece, and actually, I mean, the main piece that I was bringing you in, and I didn't realize until I started going on, looking at your social media, these other services that you gave me this nice little cheat sheet for, the transaction coordination. I assume is the transaction coordination is probably the bulk of your business. Yeah. I guess I want to start off with, in your eyes, your experience, OpSuite's mindset. What is the role of the transaction coordinator?
The role of the transaction coordinator is to make sure that on the agent side, the agent is able to step almost away from the transaction to go get more business, and they don't have to focus on the whirlwind of getting to the closing table. Because once they're under contract, there's no more money for them to be made there, right? And so we want to leverage them as much as possible. On their client side, we want to make this the smoothest transaction that they've ever had. So that way, when we get to the closing table, they're giving their agent a review, and they're giving their agent a referral. Like, that's our mindset around our transaction coordinating process. So we have systems and processes in place, and we're constantly refining them to make sure that we're able to hit these two facets for both the agent and their customers.
Going back to the marketing piece, and I would imagine, if we could just, audience, just bear with me to step back, because I think this is one of the other pieces, and I'm asking this question. I have no idea what Samantha's going to answer on this one, but I imagine because you're doing all these different marketing, we'll call them projects for everybody, Luke is doing all these different things. You come across situations, you can make suggestions to them, remind them, hey, Christmas is coming up, or Easter's coming up, or whatever it is. These things are available. We could put it in a mailer. And I think our life goes by. All of a sudden, next thing we know, it's 3 days before Christmas, or that birthday is past. So now it's a belated birthday, and you never sent anything out. And it happens. It's too, you feel it's too late, right? Instead of just send a belated birthday card. All the people care is that you thought of them, whether it was on their birthday or 3 days after, they really don't care. But most people are like, oh, I can't do that because they'll think I forgot about them. Trust me, did they send you a birthday card?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. To be proactive and plan these things out. I would imagine that's in your service portfolio when you're sitting down and someone wants to acquire, these services with you, that you're going to map these out and strategically make suggestions. Should we?
Absolutely. So part of our consulting packages, like we have several different, and one of them is a marketing package. And it's like, okay, let's take the next year and let's look at how many times are you sending mailers out? How many events are you having? How many times are you calling them? When are you doing all of these, and who's executing it? What's the budget? And so like we're going into all of this, and they can say, no, I'm going to execute it. I'm going to do it. but we help them we help them plan and kind of figure out what that looks like. Some of them are like, I'm not going to do any of it. You handle all of it. And so it's not like a one size fits all, which is why I even named it OpSuite, is because you're able to like make your own operation suite on what you want it to look like and how involved you want to stay in your company or what you want to stay involved in. The other thing, and
it's not that they're not involved.
Not at all.
It's just the hourly chores that need to be done. Somebody has to do them, and if they're sitting there, stuffing envelopes, they're not talking to past clients.
Per hour is likely between $250 to $300 an hour. So like if you're sitting down doing something that someone can do for $15 to $20 an hour, and on a high level, like you need to be doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, it comes to we want to get across to everyone too. You customize everyone's package based on what they need, what they want, what they're willing to spend, and what services you have. You're a tailor, and you're going to tailor that transaction coordinator. Go back to that now, because something we talked about pre-show. Some people have had, like I said, I call them pay-for-play transaction coordinators, and they're like, oh, they weren't any good or weren't any good. But really, when it comes down to it, yeah, you may not have actually hired a good person for it, but did you also set the expectations? Tell us how you dig deep with an individual agent that needs your transaction coordinator thing. You're giving them the service that they expect. And I imagine, your success and your experience, you probably actually go above and beyond just naturally with it.
When we have somebody who says, hey, I'm interested in your service, it's not like, let me send a contract to you. Because you can go on our website right now and technically you can submit a contract to us. But when we see it come through, I'm not going to be like, oh, let's get going. We have to onboard you first. Like we have a whole process because number one, I want to make sure that we're going to be the right fit for you. But also I want to be sure that like you're the right fit for us, to be honest. And likely you are. If you're
we'll find a way.
And doing a great job at, and just a good human. That's what I look for.
Right.
But I want to set the expectation, like, here's how we run our business. Here's how the transaction goes. Talk to me. Would you rather us over communicate or under communicate? Do you like us to do text messages with your clients? Because I don't want to
do a 3-way text message or 3-way emails and all that type of
I don't want to be doing something where you're going to be like, oh my God, I hate that. I want to find that out up front. So that way, when we move through our first transaction together, there are less hurdles or surprises that we might encounter.
And it makes the client think you guys been working together for years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We don't want it to seem like we're outside of your business. We are your team.
Yeah. If you can, because when you customize this piece, what are some of the, we're going to use demands or requirements, right? We'll use requirements as a polite word. That you see from agents. I imagine there's a wide variety of 0 to 10 different types of ways those agents want their business served up to them.
Absolutely.
Give us some, give us some of the things that the agents have expressed to you. This is the way I want to do business. But then I also want you to say, based on my experience,
this is probably best.
Yeah.
So I have certain clients who are like, from the very beginning, please don't email them, my customers, until I email them first introducing you. And like normally, like as soon as we get it within 4 hours, we're getting emails out with them. We're like, nope, we're going to let you take the lead and you handle that. The way that we have like our back end system set up is we have our template of, tasks for every single transaction, but then each of our clients has their own template as well, because they may have certain things like, hey, after we get through the inspection period, I want to send a bottle of champagne. Can you remind me to do that? And so we have like their separate little checklist that we don't forget, hey, just a reminder. And so,
is there software for this? There is, so it helps you guys, put those little reminders in there. Yeah.
It's called A-Frame. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an example. Another one is like Luke, I already mentioned him. Anytime he has tons of referral partners. So anytime he has a closing, once we do finish, we send the referral agent a little gift in the mail on behalf of him. And I mean, it's signed as him.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not watching this, but it's not written by Luke. It's written by us. And you know what I mean? So any little things that, they like to customize their business, we're happy as long as it's not, outside of the realm of transaction coordinating and super crazy. We're happy to.
What would be super crazy?
I don't You know what I mean? I don't even know.
You hold the right to deny that service.
Can you take the closing gift to them? I don't know. Like, for the most part, like we're able to customize their transaction to be, you know, how they want it to be.
Right.
And a lot of times what they'll find is when they start working with us, they have expectations and then they're like, oh, I actually never thought of doing it this way. I actually like your email better than mine.
Mhm.
Or I like the way that you handle this better than I was. And so, you know, working through our first transaction, we always are learning each other and we communicate a lot. So that's the other piece of this is I want feedback from our clients constantly. If you don't like how something's done, it's probably the same for other agents, you know, and I need to know that. So feedback is super welcome. And even after every transaction, we send out this little delighted link is what it's called. And it's a 1 through 5. How is your transaction? And that's it. They just click it. They don't have to leave any comments if they don't want to, but basically gives us like that temperature check on how are things going. And if for some reason, which knock on wood, we haven't had any, you know, feedback that's negative, but if we do, it's like, okay, well, thank you for telling us because you're not probably the only one who's feeling that.
Right.
Yeah, lots of communication.
Well, I mean, in all these transactions, and especially you know, from a lender side, I mean, to have that call with the agent, you know, prior to actually starting communication with the client, like, hey, communicate with the wife only, husband's detached,
Great point.
vice versa. There's always some little thing that you want to know behind the scenes. And these are conversations and notes that you're taking and putting them in this A-frame so that I would imagine that one individual is assigned that file. You're not like, oh, who's ever in today has got that file. They're always talking to Paige, for example.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you come on board with OpSuite, like you have your dedicated transaction coordinator. Sometimes I like to work with agents myself at first to really understand their personality.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
That's good.
yeah, and then they're assigned their transaction coordinator. Like we have Lydia, and she's like to the point. You know, like that's her. Paige, she's definitely more. How's it going? You know, let's chat a little bit more. And it's just like depends. If you're watching this, you both do amazing. But like, you know,
No, it's true. I mean, there's we talked about Melissa Ricks earlier. She tells us she has like 3 different loan officers she refers based on the personality of the client that she feels. Yeah.
Because like if we have a customer and we know that
I'm really good at the ones from New York and Northeast, just to tell all the real estate agents out there in the lending side. Yeah.
Good. No, okay, I'll spread the word. Also,
I tell it like it is.
yeah, like we want
To a
know
polite point.
if they tell us that, like, hey, the husband is you know, we're very big into disc, so he's a high D. Like, don't ask about the weather, how he's doing. Like, just tell him the inspection is then, this is that. Okay, bye. You know, and so we want to be sure to communicate that way too, but with our agents as well.
All right. So this alien comes down on Earth, wants to get into real estate.
Okay.
Doesn't know anything what a transaction coordinator does, but his broker's sitting there saying, hey, you know, you're doing really good business. You need to get a transaction coordinator. What, in your eyes, if you were put in control, the agent's letting you take control, they don't know any better, or hey, tell me what you would do and then we'll mold it as we go on. What are things that you think every transaction coordinator should do based on, you know, your number of transaction coordinating that you've been doing and your team's been doing is the ideal steps for success? Like, you know, for instance, like ordering the inspection, starting basically from the getting that contract. What would you ideally suggest every agent? Let us do this is going to give you the greatest success.
Because when we're able to clearly communicate with everybody, whether that be via email, phone call, text, the best way for them, like we're able to stay in the loop. And honestly, like when we have a group chat with the buyers, the agent, and us, our goal is to answer in that group chat before the agent does. So that way we're training their customers to know that like we can answer that for them. So I think like for transaction coordinators, like that is our number one goal, you know, is to leverage the agent. And I think like, let us do that. That's my biggest.
Well, just to trail on that, I would imagine there are some questions, but you know, with your experience and, you know, your team's experience to know, like, hold on a second, no, that's not a question we want to answer. We definitely, the agent needs to step in, even though you're licensed.
Yes, Correct. So licensed, I've done sales myself. I've had like experience throughout all of the real estate positions. This is definitely my passion. What I would say is that agents do step back in when it comes to the negotiation. So if there's, the inspection, will write up the repair request, we'll submit it to the other agent, like all of that. But when it comes to like negotiating,
Or if they should request or what not to request, and those
exactly,
back and
we're
forth,
not going to
agent needs to
advise.
have that conversation. Yeah.
We also, I think like I've been saying, like we take everything off their plates, which we do, but like we always are putting the agent as like the leader. You know what I mean? We never want to step on toes there because they're the leader.
They are the realtor.
Exactly.
Assuming they're partners with Florida Realtors.
Right, exactly. So typically, like what we'll do is like, hey, we just got out a meeting with so and so, and they've advised that we go ahead and get the appraisal ordered because we're good with the inspection or whatever that looks like. And we're always making sure it's the agent who's the one that's
The point
leading
person.
the transaction.
Yeah. Is the point person. I'm trying to remember. Well, Jordan Ferry is on, and she's part of the Atlanta Partners now. And we talked. I can't remember. She was. I had her on a second time with Lindsay, but the first time was by herself. I can't remember which conversation it was, but we were talking about team and where she was at originally. Whether a transaction coordinator or assistant, but looking at what you're offering here, you are offering both services. You are offering an assistant as well as transaction coordinating. So they don't actually have to differentiate you. They just need to tell you what they need or your evaluation, helping them, coach them into, okay, here's how we need to structure your business. You really need an assistant because this is what you want us to do.
Yes. And I will say, I have worked with some agents that they would do better with an assistant versus outsourcing to a third party for a transaction coordinator. And like we've had those conversations because they're so customized that they want us to use their system. And unfortunately, like if we did that for everybody, it just wouldn't work out. So like we have those very frank conversations on what's best for you and your business now and as you grow and what your goals are. The other thing is like, yeah, you can pick and choose what you are implementing in your business. So like I have some clients that only do bookkeeping. That's it. They don't even use TC, listing management, none of that. I have some clients who literally do it all. So I had someone call me just this last week and they're like, I want the Luke Christmas package. Whatever he's doing, I want that. Because I like his business.
Right.
So tell me what he's doing, which is hilarious. And we have some who just do transactions with us and, they only do probably a handful a year. That's totally fine. So
that was my next question.
Yeah.
What levels are you? We know, Luke, and you have some, Carrie high level. I mean, one of the top 2 or 3 in the area or whatever. You're dealing with those. I think Carrie did 50 million or something last year.
She's incredible.
Yeah. But even as I mentioned in the intro, some agents start right away and say, yeah, talking to these other agents or my experience, I want a transaction coordinator. Or, like Angie Bell, the first thing she did when she got into real estate was hire a coach because she knew it from corporate America.
Yes.
So some of these agents do start off and they're only, they're new first year. If they do a dozen transactions, that's like amazing first year. You are working with all levels here. Am I right?
Right. So we have some who are brand new to the industry. I do recommend that as a brand new agent, like fumble your way through a few transactions on your own for learning experience. If you want us to take over, we will. Don't get me wrong. We love the business, but like it's great for, newer agents to learn on their own. But then, we actually don't work with just single agents. We have teams. So like the Kavanaugh & Co., Shara Kavanaugh and her team we work with. The Rocco Group is actually a new client of ours.
Awesome.
So we do all of their transaction coordinating for them, which is full circle for me. And awesome. So so we work with all production levels. It just depends on, what do you want?
And I know you're mentioning a lot of Keller Williams teams, but you're working with some non-Keller Williams. You are on your own.
Brokerages.
It's just your reputation there has obviously led you to business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a lot of KW surrounding me just from my experience in the past. But we work with other brokerages and have others. Like Virginia Toussaint is one of my favorites right now. She's new, and of course I don't have to.
Yeah, had her on the show a couple months ago. Yeah,
love her and her agents. But we have quite a few outside brokerages and expanding because agents are starting to talk, and as we do cross transactions, they're learning about OpSuite, and we started in October last year. Time is word is traveling, I should say.
Yeah. No, I mean, just to if you don't realize it, I know you do, but agents I'm talking to that might be listening, if you don't realize that you are working with several of the top 10 real estate teams in Northeast Florida, let alone several of the top 10 agents, individual agents as well.
We're honored. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been the best journey. And, I think like that's the other thing is we want to align with like-minded individuals. And so the teams and agents that we're aligned with, like it's an awesome partnership. And
yeah, no, I mean, it just, when you like you said, you're working with the Rocco group and the reputation that Sarah left there. And, that's where you started. That's where you learned the fact that, they're relying on you now that you're out on your own to handle their stuff. That's a huge compliment. Shira Kavanaugh runs, stellar business, amazing person. Her and her husband there for sure. Two great endorsements there. The last thing on this little cheat sheet you had on here was listing management, which listings are up. Our inventory is 150% it was what it was a year ago, in the area because listings are staying on the market a little longer. What are you doing there?
I love listing management, and a lot of agents don't realize this is even an opportunity for them to leverage. So the moment that an agent gets their listing agreement signed, it's the same as when they have a TC, they hand off the contract, same thing, they hand off the listing agreement to us. And we are immediately in touch with your sellers. And we're saying, here's the plan, here's the photos. They'll tell us, hey, we need the carpet replaced in the owner's suite. It's not smelling great. So like we're coordinating quotes and helping the sellers get the carpet people out, and anything that goes into play between the moment they get the listing agreement signed to the day and moment that it goes active, we do everything in between. That's literally listing management, especially in a market right now.
So just for example, just to put, because I always like to, there's got to be something where you can, on the wall, you can stick it to.
Yes.
They go in there and there's issues where I preach a lot of times on the shows, especially when you have some of these, I love the luxury agents. When they tell me luxury is a service and not the price point, I like, whatever. You have luxury because you want the higher price point. All right. Love you guys, luxury. But the point is, the expectation of a luxury agent is that you are a concierge. If someone wants to go into this house, or you're listing a house that needs the kitchen to be redone, you've already got numbers. You have, what you're telling me, or I'm hoping you're telling me, is that you as OpSuite can be that concierge for any agent. And they go out and they're doing a listing and they're saying, hey, I got this listing. It's $1.2 million, it's $800,000, whatever. I know anyone who walks in here, they're going to want to redo the kitchen.
Yes.
They're going to redo the flooring. I need numbers so that should a buyer come in and they look at it, that they can have a conversation about what that's going to cost. Or
even a step further where they're like, we need to get the whole house painted first. We need the front driveway pressure washed. We need mulch out there. We need a lawn care service. And this all needs to be done by next Thursday. And we need photos before then so that way we can go live next Thursday. Yes. So we're getting all of the companies. We're coordinating with the sellers.
That's a true assistant.
Yep.
Yep. 100%. I mean, you can think of 1,000 different things. Every agent, if you've done any number of transactions, there's always something. Never have you had a listing where it didn't need maybe a decluttering or a staging or, let alone if you actually wanted to replace the floor. I saw this meme. I don't know if it was a meme. It was on Instagram. I interacted with the guy because he was preaching about, don't replace the roof or the hot water heater. Don't spend any of that money. It's not going to get you anymore. I said, dude, until they get the insurance quote, then it's going to cost you. If you as an agent know the roof needs to be replaced, maybe you spend the money, or at least you go get a quote.
Let's be honest. First impressions are important.
Yeah.
And especially in this market where there's a ton of listings and they're sitting, like yours needs to be extremely attractive. And that doesn't just mean like the home and like the photos, but that means the listing description. That means all of the input on the MLS. Are you putting everything on there? Do you have the photos in the right order? Can I suggest, since this is, a listing up to the preserve, let's actually get drone. You didn't mention you want a drone, but if you have the money to invest, I'm going to recommend that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like these are things like having an expert pair of eyes who's done a lot of listings in the past. Like leveraging this is so important right now versus like ever, in my opinion.
Well, in coming out of post-COVID, in where we had, multiple offers, you're still getting multiple offers on the hot homes. For instance, my wife had one recently. It was a 3-car garage on the golf course in a desirable community with a pool. All the things that all these people want. Obviously, she had multiple listings within the first couple of days. Sold right away. Same house design in the same community on a preserve, set. It's probably still sitting right now.
Yeah.
Now, could we attribute that the asking price is a little different? That's always a possibility. But when you have that house that is desirable, and they sign that contract, they're like, hey, let's make an offer. Boom, offer, go back and forth. Yes, okay, yeah, we'll agree with that price. Everyone signs. At that point, every real estate agent, every loan officer involved in that transaction is already going, boom, I've got a closing in 30 days or whatever, right?
Exactly.
And you don't want to lay out opportunities or encourage the buyer's remorse, as they all will. When they'll sign that agreement, yeah, we're buying that house for that. A lot of times they're not jumping up and down. They may jump up and down for a few minutes, but after dinner and they lay their head down, then all of a sudden, there's the next morning, there's always, did I make the right decision?
Yes.
Am I buying, or should I wait a little bit more? Maybe another house will come up, that type of thing. So if you give them opportunities like, you got the insurance quote here. Yeah, the house is the roof is 20 years old. No one wants to insure that. You're going to need a new roof. Yeah, okay, I don't want to buy it. That's an opportunity. Or the hot water heater is 15 years old. At any moment it's going to burst, let alone the day before closing.
Exactly.
Having those things replaced to avoid the Murphy's Law, that if it could happen, it will. And so I was just thought about that guy. I said, well, obviously you're not in Florida because you're going to go in there and the insurance is going to send you a quote. And if you've got a borderline client and all of a sudden the payment goes up $150, $200 because the insurance comes in that much higher,
right?
You got to peel them off the ceiling, So being proactive. But I am so impressed, Samantha. I'm not surprised because of where you, I'll say, grew up through the Keller Williams and working with Sarah Rocco. Your knowledge and vision of all encompassing, because you really do. You could write the book, Real Estate Agent for Dummies, type of thing, because these are all the things the agents need to be doing, and you're offering it. And you say, hey, if you just want to go and have coffee and walk around and hand out your business cards all day long, you pretty much can cover the rest, because that's really what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
But sales is what I say.
Yeah.
Everything but sales.
But you're covering their back tail, which hopefully goes to sales. One, hopefully someone goes through your professionalism. I always, when people ask me about guideline questions for loans, yeah, there's some stuff like if I've worked with it recently, but stuff changes all the time. And you're always asked that one-off question in I worked at a call center. I've written thousands of loans, but there's still one-off. And then the guidelines change and things like that. And maybe that guideline changed 2 years ago and I haven't written a loan that needed that guideline. So I didn't memorize that.
Of course.
We got underwriters that are working with loans from all the loan officers. They're seeing all the situations. Their job is to solve the situations or, make suggestions, say, go back to the buyer, see if they can do this to make this work, right? You're dealing with that with all these agents. And then you got this one-off agent who's only dealing with half a dozen, 12 transactions they got. They ain't seeing everything.
No.
They don't have the painters, the flooring people, all these people on speed dial.
Right.
Like
so they lean on us for that.
Yeah.
And we do have it, and they lean on us for like, hey, I'm feeling this. What are you seeing other agents doing? Or, hey, I want to do an event in the fourth quarter. What are some ideas that you're successfully been seeing other agents do? And I think having the ability to work with all, and of course maintain confidentiality for each team and agent on what they're doing specifically that works best for them. But having that experience to be able to guide them to the things that work well is huge. Or even in a transaction, sometimes I'll have the agent reach out to me and be like, hey, we're working through this. What is your recommendation? Can I just bounce ideas off of you? And I think that's what's a lot.
What are other
different.
agents doing? What other agents have they done to get around this problem?
Exactly. And so I'm able to kind of help brainstorm solutions with them, which I think is different than any other transaction coordinating company.
100%, 100%, because you're offering the suite.
Yeah.
I love it. I really do. I'm so glad I had you on today,
Me
because
too.
this is really awesome.
Thank you.
I had I wrote, I want, there's got to be someone that you've worked with that all of a sudden now you're taking this load off, whether it's all these things or some of these things that you're taking a load off, that have actually come back to you and said, oh my God, now I actually can go and sit in my kid's ball game or go to Disney World or whatever. Can you tell us a success story? Someone, you don't have to mention names, but
Well, I don't mind to mention names. I mean,
well, if they don't mind.
so Luke, I mentioned Luke several times at Christmas. He was like one of our first clients. I worked with him at the Rocco Group, actually. And so he went off on his own and did his own thing. And he constantly uses the hashtag, just like in our little group chat, OpSuite forever. And he tells us all the time, like, hey, since you suggested that, you actually saved me $2,000. This just recently happened. He'll be like, you saved my customers X amount because you suggested that they use the previous title insurance, and he'll send pictures of like him at the pool with his family. He went to Ginny Springs last Monday. He's like, couldn't do this without you guys. Like, definitely he's like one of those that shares his success and how he uses our leverage. Like, he'll clearly say, taking off the rest of the afternoon, want to go to the beach? Because he knows we got it under control for him,
Right.
know?
If people just, we all want to control everything, and just having the faith and trust in you and your team and to give it up. Don't understand that little vacation that he has energizes him.
Oh my gosh, he comes back and then he's like, here's 10 contracts.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything in life when we're working with people. If you're in sales and you feel good and you're happy, that energy goes into the person you're talking to, and a lot of time gets you a deal that you may not have gotten.
Absolutely.
And whatever it is you just feel healthy, you just feel refreshed. Whatever it does change your energy. Translates into in your happiness, and people want to be around people like that. Naturally.
At the beginning of the year, he actually went out of the country for almost 2 weeks, completely out of pocket, and his business still continued to run.
Now, here's an interesting thing. We were talking about that Teams Mastermind the other day. I'll finish with this part right here. Is like they were talking about partnering up with maybe another agent, like so they can go to Europe for 2 weeks. And someone's still answering their emails or reviewing them. Contact them when they need to, but going through those things, not like would you guys pick up that service?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm licensed, so like I was there to be able to help, negotiate things that he needed to negotiate. Like he hired me to do that.
He gave you the authority to do it, so he could go and enjoy himself.
Right offers, right contracts. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. That you got it going on, girl. I hope you have a line of people to hire, because I don't know if this is going to stop. You're going to grow. You're going to have a whole floor in a building somewhere.
I hope so. I mean, I just love seeing the success of our agents, and like we have a little snack section in our office because I want them to come by and see us. Like the relationships, my point is the relationships to us, it's like that is everything, and I'm just so blessed. I love it.
Awesome. Anything you'd like to add before we close out?
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on. It was a great conversation. This, I figure, well, I'll just keep an eye. We've been an hour and 21 minutes, but it's been jam-packed with great information for any agents out there. If you're not already working with an OpSuite or type company, I mean, I don't know if is there another company in town that does all this? I don't. Not that we know of. I talk to a lot of agents. I don't know anyone. They talk about transaction coordinators, but the fact that you're giving them that whole thing in the back. But I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks.
Thank you.